You see that? You see? That's beautiful. Still there. Welcome. Wanda and Vision, ladies and gentlemen. What y'all think of that episode? Huh? Was it everything you hoped for and more? Hey, there I am. There. There we are. White names and all. Gotta change those colors. How is everybody doing? Everybody have a good week? Did you miss my crazy butt? Huh? Did you? Or were you happy to get a break from me? How is everyone? Do I sound like ASMR, Ashley? I don't know. Hello, Nikki. Hello, Kid. Hello, Meekins. Hello, LJ. How are you, Taurean? How are you? How are you? How are you? Can you hear me?
Oh, my bad. I thought you was just saying hello to everybody in the chat.
I
My
didn't
bad.
even
I thought you were
know.
saying what's up to everybody in the chat, but what's going on actually? And salute to everybody in the chat. We are back.
Oh, thank you, Nikki. My hair's a little, but it's just what it is, you know. We're gonna go with it. Thank you. So yeah, Luda's camera's out of commission. His webcam is down.
My webcam is malfunction. I need to get a new one.
Yes. So we are gonna, you're gonna see me, and hopefully I'm not having my own set of issues with networking. Hope it's gonna stay good. Right.
Right.
Perfect. Amazing. Totally on board for this next, hour and a half or so. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So going out of episode 4 just a little bit because we didn't get to talk about 4,
Yeah. You're right.
unfortunately. Do you just want to like hit some of those main points that you feel that are important from that you took away from 4 that led you right into 5 kind of things?
Well, first off, I think it was interesting that they called the episode "We Now Interrupt This Program," and it turned out to be a filler episode. So I thought that was interesting, and I think for a filler episode, it was very good because a lot of filler episodes for shows are weak, are considered like the weak episodes. Like it's like okay, the writers got lazy and they just need to find something to put in between this in order to kind of carry the story along, but kind of carry it away, but not in a very entertaining or fun way. But I like that they did this because a lot of people said, and I agree, that episode 4 was more like Monica's episode.
Yes.
That really was Monica's episode at its core. And I'm glad that, one of the best parts I liked about, because it was so much I liked about episode 4. I like that they showed the people coming back from what happened after the undoing of the snap. When people came back, we just saw them, they were back. But this, when you actually saw them come back, and it's like it was a bunch of panic going on and everything like that. And I thought it was interesting that episode happened in a hospital where everybody was like going crazy and didn't know what was going on, and everybody was panicking and running around. It kind of reminds you of what happened or what was going on last year when what'd you call it? Bud Light.
Yes.
When Bud Light first popped off and how everybody was like flooding the hospitals and everything like that and didn't know what was going on. They're running around like a chicken with their head cut off. So I did like that. And that episode was just a backstory and it finally gave us a look at what the people on the outside of Westview saw. And it basically, let us see what they saw because we always saw from Wanda's point of view. Now we see from their standpoint, and now everything makes sense.
I know. Yes, and I'm sorry, LJ, sometimes I forget, but mostly everybody knows here I got a big mouth, so anything that I'm ever going to talk about is going to be a spoiler about the episode, that just aired. So when we do these discussions, will include details about the episode. So yes, they're always spoiler discussions. For anybody that is not aware. But thank you for that question, LJ. Go ahead, Terry. I just wanted to.
And I also thought it was interesting. Now we see what the hexagon actually means. Is literally in a hexagon shape, like how the town is shaped like a hexagon, and like it's almost like every point of the hexagon means something in the town. And I thought it was interesting how when they put all the people on the board, everybody had an ID except for Agnes.
And then Dottie's not up there, but now is Dottie not up there because of
I forgot about
that they reviewed? but she's still not up there. I mean, the first time it made sense, but now we still know she's still not on there.
Right.
And there's questions to like, is she possibly somebody else? But I don't want to do too much of that because then I feel like that's maybe too much of a spoiler if that is something that comes true. So when we get closer to that, we'll talk about who Dottie could possibly be.
Right. Because we haven't seen Dottie since episode 2.
You know, we always saw her in that one moment in episode 3, just when she said, these earrings make me look fat.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that, and that was it. But there's, you know, some questionable tie-ins possibly coming along. So, you know, that is a good question about who is Dottie. You know, is Dottie someone's mother who we're going to be meeting later on in another film, and then this is just the groundwork for this character? Possibly we'll talk about who that character is next time, maybe. Or on Ashley and Nikki. Here I'm just trying to stick to, you know, what we actually see and maybe add a few thoughts, you know, there. But that's a possibility. We didn't see Dottie, so we don't really need to talk about her too much. But what did you think about Agnes? And when you talk about how Agnes's name is not on the board, right?
Yeah, her ID is not up there.
Yeah, her ID is not up there on the board. And when they're in the house, right? What do you think about like Agnes's her whole demeanor there? Like,
it's real mysterious. Like, we figured out early on who she really is. They just haven't revealed her true self in the show yet, but it's coming, and it's like you can tell it's really starting to manifest, especially with episode 5. Because notice how she just kind of just pops up a lot. Like she always says that she hears something, or she's always around and everything like that. She's not your typical neighbor. And then, you know, in episode 4, think about it, when Monica was talking to, and she mentioned about Pietro, and she said Ultron, and then when Vision was going back into the house, and you know, Herb was right there and he was cutting through the wall and like he was glitching, and how she looked over and like Herb was trying to say something, and Agnes looked back at him and was like, don't say it, and everything like that. So it's like, okay, something is very weird going on with her. Like you can tell that she's like almost like she's helping pull the strings along, like she's a puppet master.
You know, but I also feel like I wonder at times if she's stuck in that reality, and sometimes she has been stuck in it. Maybe a little bit, or you know, just because if you get sucked into that reality, it changes you. But if she is the one who is working, you know, in service of someone else, she might just been there, you know, to help Wanda manifest these powers, you know, and maybe they have this tie already, you know, going in, because we know in this show we're going to learn why Wanda is a Scarlet Witch. There are specific witch elements that they're going to bring into the show, whether it be a flashback or, you know, something that she's doing in the moment, you know, near the climax of the show. We know that's coming, and Agnes is definitely going to be involved in that. But then there's theories that are other people within this neighborhood. Are they witches, right? You know, obviously the only other person that I think would be Dottie. We know Mrs. Hart is not a witch, right? You know, that these other people are not witches. Their minds are, you know, one is in their brain essentially, right?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's crazy. But even though Wanda is in control of this world, I feel like she's only in control of it because of something that she is, you know, made a deal or was taught by Agnes and then manipulated into thinking that this was only good for her, but was actually for another sinister reason. And then mentally, she's just going to gradually break down, because you think about it. I don't want to jump too ahead in the episode, but we know what we see at the end. And as that relates to that thought for me, you know, just going, and then we'll jump to that. But, you know, I just wanted to mention that, you know, I feel, yeah, she's controlling this, but there's something bigger beyond her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like she's
And
not,
then,
and notice he keeps saying that she has everything under control, but you can clearly tell she doesn't. She
she
doesn't have it.
doesn't.
She does, because she's running off of her emotions, and when people run off emotions, their thoughts are all over the place. Like they're not centered, and she's like all over the place. Especially when Monica had said what she said that triggered her, and that was like one of the first triggering points she had for the entire show so far. And when she sent Monica soaring out of Westview the way that she did, and she turned around, listen, zombie vision that made me jump. That part right there, and mind you, I'm watching her early in the morning, and it's dark. I'm like, oh, that almost, I felt like my heart almost jumped out of my chest when I saw that, and I was like, wow, they actually, went there and showed his dead body as a living thing. And then she had to like look down and kind of collect herself and bring him back to reality in her mind. And she just looked over him and said, I have everything under control. And I'm just looking on the other side saying, you don't have everything under control.
And then I love it. And even though it's just like a basic line, when he says, when he tells her we can go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And she says, no, we can't, right? It just lets you know she can't just do this anywhere, and yeah, Antonio, I feel that, like I said, when I talk about there's going to be a scene with her in some type of witch moment with Agnes learning how to use these powers, learning how to harness this power. I feel like that's where we're going to see it, but we already saw what she was capable of in Endgame. She almost killed Thanos. She literally did. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not just a line. We see it. We see that, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, we already knew that she had these abilities. We already know that she's fueled by her emotions. Her powers are fueled by her emotions. When you think about what happened to her after her brother died,
Yeah.
How did she operate? What did she do to Ultron?
She ripped his heart out.
Yeah, she ripped his heart out. What did she do to all those droids? She fell, screamed, they all came crashing down before she got to him, And, even when she was able to hold Thanos back just with the Mind Stone for as long as she could, and just to have to be the one to have to, the person you care about, you love, you kill them and then just for somebody to come right along, undo it, and for you to have to see it again, right? Like Vision in her mind was like the last hope for happiness,
Yeah.
And now she's got that, and now she's in the home with him. And Vision, after, the events of Geraldine, aka, really Monica Rambeau, being thrusted out of his home, and he was noticing things before that throughout the episode, though. But in that moment, he knew, something's not right here, and that's when he started questioning everything. And I wanted more of it, though. I loved how Vision questioned everything in this episode.
Yeah.
I loved it. We got to see him in the trailer with Agnes unlock her mind, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was tight that we got to see him actually do that in the show, right? With Norm, right?
Right.
And first he does it to the computer, right? And then he does it to Norm, right? And then Norm, says, help us, and he's pleading with him, telling him, she's in my mind. And then he touches
what that remind me of?
And he goes, yes,
in that moment, it reminded me of the movie Get Out.
Yeah.
You know how when they was like in that state, but they had the flash from the camera took them out of it. When Vision did that, he came back, like Norm snapped back to reality, and he was like freaking out, saying, "Where am I? I'm hurting. I need to find my wife. I need to call somebody. Like I don't know where I'm at. What day is it?" Like all of that was happening, and then to keep everything in like back in motion, Vision had to snap him back in, and then he went back to his happy-go-lucky personality. But that part with the email, that was crazy, and how they just read the emails in unison like that.
I know.
That was crazy.
He's like, it's not real. It's just a joke. Ha ha ha.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but we move forward. We see, you know, Vision kind of like pushing back on Wanda, you know, in the episode, you know, as well, right? Like I said, we mentioned it in the kitchen, right? When the dog. What did you think about the kids? You know, when they were babies and she tries to like get them to go to sleep and she can't do it, right?
Yeah.
So she can't control them, right?
Exactly.
You know, which is interesting, right? And then all of a sudden we see them age up quickly to the age of 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're in the kitchen, right? Hiding the dog.
Hiding the dog. Yep.
You know, I love the show, but like the scenes with the kids, the acting was very weak for me, and it just it was
I
tough.
saw what you said
tough.
on Twitter.
It was tough. It was a little tough for me, right? Mm-hmm. Come on, you're freaking Disney. You got better kids actors out there. Like, what are we doing? Like, so bad, guys. The acting is so bad. Like, it's bad. But that's a small issue in the bigger grand scheme of the whole episode. Because it was tough.
Mm-hmm. I mean, well, at least they didn't have scenes, but at least they didn't have scenes by themselves. They had to like act around the other main actors of the show, so that actually helped move the scene along. Because I think if they had scenes just by themselves, and it's like, okay, I don't want to jump and skip ahead because I might miss something, but you know, I'll just have to deal with it. But I see what you mean by that. It makes you wonder, of course, going forward, what are they going to do with those kids? Because, you know, of course, next week they're going to go into another era. So, of course, they'll have to be older again. But the fact that they were able to age themselves just at will, like no matter what, that's, you know, I thought that was interesting.
And then I thought, you know, maybe it was a combination of like who Wiccan and Speed are, you know, because the children, you know, Wiccan has these warping abilities, the same abilities as Wanda.
Yeah.
Speed is a speedster, but that also goes to his respiratory, his, you know, his heart, all of his organs are on that, you know, that rapid, you know, level. So I felt like maybe it was a play on, oh, you're taking one, you know, that can warp reality, one that, you know, internal organs are already at these rapid levels that maybe then that's a little play on that. But, you know, that's me going overboard probably with that thought. But that's just the thought that I took from that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that. I wonder, like I said, I wonder what they're gonna do with the kids going forward. In the next few episodes of the season.
I mean, I think we're going to the next episode. Maybe they'll still be 10. Maybe they'll go up because we know we have to see Halloween at some point, right?
Yeah, I want to guess that that might be the next episode.
I don't feel like they'll be over the age of 10. Maybe, you know, on the Halloween episode, not in my mind anyway. You know.
Yeah, because they age themselves like pretty early on. Like they're not even supposed to be that age now. They're supposed to still be babies.
Yeah. And then when we talk about the cameo, okay, I'm going to explain something real quick. Okay. I'm not going to get to the person. Okay, so in the end of this episode, because we haven't got there, we see this person in the end. That is not a cameo. Because you know why? Because he's going to be in the next episode. Therefore, that is a recurring role. Okay. The more I thought about it, he is not a cameo. Someone who is a cameo is on screen for limited time and maybe have a very limited line. It's just more like it's there. Okay. This person who's coming in it's not a cameo. So therefore, I don't believe that's not who Elizabeth Olsen is talking about. Just because that's not a cameo. The more I thought about it, I was like, wait, that's not even a cameo, guys. That is a recurring role.
Yeah.
Whether if he comes out of the next episode or what have you, that's not a cameo.
Exactly. I don't think they would bring that person in for just a cameo. But one thing that really stuck out to me, and I'm sure you picked up on it too, was that by them bringing this version of that character in, that finally means the crossover has been is a success. You're bringing a Fox original property over now to Disney. Finally, now this is the cross right here. I don't think many people, some people probably caught it, but I immediately caught. I said, now it's official.
Yeah. And, like I said, we are jumping there, because I kind of wanted to talk about Agnes again before you get there. I know what's going on over the place. But, when we talk about Agnes in the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at Wanda. I'm sorry, because I meant to, I can jump it around. When she looks at Wanda and she says, you want me to go again?
Yes. Yeah, that part.
And it's just like, even like the way she says it, it's like she can't be bothered. Like, do you want me to do this again? Like, really? Like, like she's not scared.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like she's really scared. I feel like she's more like, do you want me to do that again? And, and Wanda's, trying to play it off like, what are you talking about? And then, we see her watch the kids age up. She doesn't.
Nothing's phasing
she
her.
She
like,
doesn't give it a second thought, right?
Yeah, and then she goes and gets herself some liquor. Like nothing she does, like, it completely even phases. As a matter of fact, we had that moment with her in episode 2 when Wanda was talking to her when she first was about to get introduced to Dottie, and then when Wanda said, I can just be myself, and she kind of gave her this look like, did you really just say that? And then she called herself and just went back into her usual part. But this time she didn't catch herself. She just flat out went off script and said, do you want to take it from the top?
I think Agnes is fully aware. It just, at first, I felt like maybe she, I think at times maybe she can get stuck, but we've seen people have moments where they break out, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But now we also know that Vision can unlock people and break them out of that, out from underneath the Wanda's spell too. But Agnes, she's not frightened, is what I'm saying. I feel like that she wants these things to be happening.
Exactly.
So I don't feel, I think that's why she made sure she told her about Monica Rambeau, being, not, letting her know Geraldine doesn't have a home, and, giving that information to Vision, but she was already in the house, figuring it out at that point. But she wanted to kill that, right? Because she knows who Monica Rambeau is, and she knows Monica Rambeau is with Sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Monica Rambeau will put an end to the stuff that she has going on.
Yeah,
right?
you can tell she felt threatened by her. Like, you can tell by the way that she was asking those questions, almost like in a very scared state while trying not to sound scared at the same time. Like, you can tell she was really worried that Monica could come in and throw everything off.
Yeah, she was. And I feel like that's where her fear came from in that moment, not actual fear for Wanda, because we see you turn around, just, a few episodes later, and when you're breaking character, you're not afraid,
Yeah.
So I feel like that was for Vision, right?
Right.
But then she is like, but then there's other things that you question that, when, with the dog, because she's like, oh, you can do that, when the boys are telling her, bring the dog back, Mom, we know you can bring people back from the dead, right? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? These little boys know their mama can bring the dead back, right?
Exactly.
And they're begging her, right? What did you think about the whole thing with the dog? leading up to the death of the dog, and then the conversation about mom, bring the dog back.
It sounds like she's using that as a plotting device. Like if you listen to how she said, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that." Like almost like, maybe I can use that to my advantage to bring something back for myself. What that could possibly be, I'm not sure. But that's just my guess on it.
Exactly. I'm over here looking at Enrique's comments. Oh my gosh. Hold on, Enrique. He said, who told Agent Wu that Wanda... Okay, let me just pull it up here. Who told Agent Wu that Wanda and Captain were close to defeating Thanos? LOL. Probably War Machine talking shit to the government. LOL. Oh, Enrique. Thank you for that. Do you have anything you want to add to that? Enrique's always got to be with his little comments.
I don't know what else. I don't know what else I could add to that.
But they are agents of S.W.O.R.D., Enrique. Okay, they're going to know about what happens with Thanos. Is what they do. You know, they are. That's what they do. They were there. We just didn't know they were there, right? And we hear about S.W.O.R.D.
Right.
They have intel. They know. Okay, they're just like S.H.I.E.L.D., but different, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, on a different scale. You have to think about it like that. They surveil everything. They know these things. They investigate these things. That's probably what happened, Enrique. Okay. Anything else?
You telling me?
No, I'm asking. You know, he said he'll take that. ... Yeah, me too, Antonio. But they gave us something different, didn't they? I thought he was too. I thought that's how they were setting it up. That's how it looked like to me. Yes, Starbucks. That's what I got. Burp. Sorry. But yes, so there's that. So we know that. Okay, I did think that was weird because it's like the same conversations that like we've been having, and then they put it in the show, and it was kind of like, okay. I mean, it did seem a little weird, you know. I will say that, like, the conversation. I guess I feel like it didn't feel very natural when they're talking about it.
Yeah.
But I understood why they put it in there. But the conversation sounded really like, hey, you say your line, I'm going to say my line, now I'm going to say my line. You know what I mean? Right there. The part where I felt like it wasn't so much like that is when he did bring up Captain Marvel and how Monica, you know, how she responded, you know, how Tiana responded, you know, her response
was real standoffish.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's okay. It's like okay, it's almost like she felt some kind of way, like hearing her name, like something must have, like, did something else happen that we don't know about between the two of them? Because, you know, when we saw her as a kid in Captain Marvel, she looked up to her like she was her hero and everything like that. And to hear how she sounded right here when Jimmy Woo mentioned her name, she kind of it's almost like she rolled her eyes a little bit and she said, well, we're not talking about her, and then just went to another subject. So it's like, where did this come from? And that's going to be interesting going forward into the Captain Marvel 2 movie, because she's going to be in that. So I wonder, like, if they're going to incorporate that into that storyline, because of course she's reprising her role as Monica Rambeau in that movie as well. Oh, see, that's going to be one of the only things that's going to pull me into that movie is her character. Because I'm going to be honest, if she wasn't in it, I probably wouldn't check for it. I'm just being honest.
Yeah. And then they say possibly, and I was going to make the point that the point that some people are making in the chat. What if it's just the basic storyline that, you know, the last time she saw her, she was a little girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
and then she never came back to see them, visit them, have communication with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then while she was there,
Mm-hmm.
in her mind, maybe she never even came and saw her mother while she was sick. But then possibly, we know that Monica vanishes, right? And then during that time, her mother's cancer comes back. But we don't know, possibly, and that's the ongoing theory there, is that maybe right there, Carol, before, she left and said, she wouldn't be back for a long while.
Mm-hmm.
And then they, just her whole demeanor there, that probably that's why she decided to leave Earth. Possibly that's what they're, that's the theory there, that because she was so devastated that maybe she was there with her when she did die, or before she died, and she was so devastated that she left, and said she wouldn't be back for a long while because Maria died, and that is a possibility. But Monica might not know that she saw her mother, or it could be some other issue that's not as simple as that, but without having to add too much backstory, that is a very easy and explainable and believable reason why she might not care for Carol anymore.
Yeah, or she probably said, "Why did they give her the Captain Marvel movie before I did, before me? Since I'm the one that had it first before she did."
Mm-hmm. But when we see, and she's getting her X-rays, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Monica, and they're scanning her, and they taking her clothes. You want to talk about that right there?
Oh yeah, when that one was like so obvious. When she was getting scanned and getting her X-rays and everything like that, and the doctor had came back and said we can do it again, and Darcy basically said that is blank and everything like that. Monica said no. She said we're pretty much done here. So basically, whatever should have come up in her scans would have came up had she not been thrusted out of Westview. So many are suggesting that when she got thrown out, that's where her powers came from. And that's why when they did the scan of her body, nothing came up. So that's basically her powers reacting to that. So that would probably explain why she healed so fast.
But also she said, Monica, I said Monica, excuse me, that Wanda did also kind of protect her as she threw her out so she wouldn't be harmed.
Yeah. And I thought what was so interesting was the fact that she went in there with a bulletproof vest on, and it made her entire outfit made out of Kevlar. So I thought that was very very interesting as well. And shout out to Disney for bringing some gun action up in there. Had her take the gun and shoot the gun at a target.
I know. I thought that was tight too. And then I was like, oh, so she's just, whatever you have on, it's still there. She's just changing the structure of it, and warping that. But also we see that when she does warp those things, it comes over in those weird ways, like the jump rope. You remember she turned?
She turned the tether cord into a jump rope.
Yeah. And so it's just, and then and now Monica is looking to what can she send in that doesn't need to be changed, right?
Right. So she sends in that drone.
Yep. And what happens to the drone?
They attach a gun to it, and she didn't know. And they said fire. And I was like, hold on. This is why that director, what's his name, Hayward, is already pissing me off. Like, why would you send in a drone with a missile or a gun attached to it to a place that a person was able to create an entire town, an entire illusion, and you actually thought that missile was going to fire off without a hitch, and that she wasn't going to clap back at you the way that she did? Like, the minute that drone came in there, the thing is, Monica had literally probably had everything under control when she was looking at it, but the minute that she heard fire, that's when her eyes turned red. I said, when she turns her eyes red, I always feel that that's when she goes into Scarlet Witch mode. And I said, that's not going to be good. Then she fries the drone, and then all of a sudden we finally see Wanda come through her wall as Wanda, and you hear the accent as she's talking.
I know, there it is. I'm telling you, when Wanda is like on her, it's kind of weird in a way that they do that. When Wanda's like, at the peak of her, like she don't give it, word stuff. Like we saw her in Ultron, she was pretty bad in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And we saw how her little evil side was at play. And then we see it again here, you know what I'm saying? And her accent is back, So it's like when she's mad, she doesn't mask it very well.
But before
when she's really serious, she's very Sokovian, when she's trying to be nice, Avenger, humble Wanda, the accent isn't there because she's trying to fit in, right? She doesn't care when she's, at the peak of her, Scarlet Witch stuff.
But before we even go any further than that, remember when they was watching the footage of her go into Sword and get Vision's body?
Yes.
I think they're actually going to show that in an episode of that actually happening, because based on the promo clips, you actually see a part of that in there, but it's not from a surveillance point of view. So I think they're actually going to show her actually doing that in an episode. Which episode, I'm not entirely sure. But to see her go in there and wreck the room and take Vision's corpse out of there and then basically reprogram him into the mold that we see him as right now.
I will answer this very simply, Antonio. What I believe happened after the snap, the Avengers that were there, the main six, right? The ones, they weren't, Tony was in space, right? Cap just lost. Thor just lost. They all just lost, right? And then they lost half their friends. So, and then what was their first, the number one thing that they were trying to do, right? Immediately, as we see in the opening scenes of the game, is to reverse that snap immediately, right? So I feel like that their main focus after that was to hurry up and fix what was wronged, right? And so here's Sword. They know, like I said, very basic here. They know Thanos was in Wakanda, right? They go to Wakanda, right? And they check it out. Wakanda is also a mess, right? T'Challa is gone. People are vanishing. They've lost their king, their princess, and everything probably at this point is a little crazy even there. Sword, if not, Sword easily could have obtained the body by going to Wakanda and retrieving it. Because they know Thanos was there, right? And these are the type of things that they work in. So I can see it very easily them retrieving it based on all of these moving parts that were happening. Yeah, exactly, Meekins. They were not the Avengers. Thor was, regretting they didn't go for the head, and then he goes for the head at the silliest reason, at the silliest time that, it doesn't really make sense. And, Natasha and Steve are frantic. They're just like desperate. They're just trying to fix it. That's all they want to do, Yeah. And Tony is not involved. He's still angry and harbors resentment, and that's it. That's the main. And we have other War Machines there, but I'm talking about,
I think
Hulk is, Bruce Banner is just Bruce Banner still at that point. Go ahead.
I think in a future episode, we're going to probably find out how they got Vision's body. Like they're probably going to insert that in there somewhere. They're going to have to go back again and see how they got his body. That's why I said that clip we saw Wanda going into Sword on the surveillance, that's not the whole thing. So we're probably going to get a backstory on how Vision's body ended up in the Sword headquarters and her going to get it.
Yeah, we need some. I agree that they need to give us some
backstory behind that, because a lot of people like are saying, and I agree, how did his body end up there? Like, who picked his body up and took it back to Sword?
Yeah. and then when we see his body, we see him dissembled, everywhere in different parts. That brings up the West Coast Avengers, Vision's quest. He is actually disassembled in that comic book, right? And they go find him. They then put Vision, back together. But the Vision that comes back is a lot different than the Vision that we had before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So possibly White Vision, or even just not necessarily to the extent of White Vision in the comic books, but a Vision who might even at times quick to anger, you know what I mean? Because even when we see him stand up to Wanda, right? We've seen Vision stand up for things that he believes in and the stances he felt for in Civil War, but we've never seen Vision get angry, right?
Yeah, like
so
in
that
this
is a
episode, he
new
did.
trait for Vision.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Vision doesn't
get mad,
doesn't get upset. Vision is not an overly, emotional
being.
either. And we see this Vision have his emotions are very up and down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
one part,
that's different.
One part I definitely, before we go any further, was definitely when she was out there outside the energy field and she was talking to them. And Monica had said something she said, "Oh, you're still here." I kind of chuckled at that part. She said, "Oh, you're still here." And she's like, "Oh, you must have not got enough of me the last time." And I thought she was going to try to blast her again. But I'm glad she didn't, because then what if Monica would have did something and her powers would got exposed right there? And it's like, I don't want it to get exposed like that. I want them to kind of gradually go into that. So, and when she reached her hands up and everything like that, and she's like, "This is your final one." I like Elizabeth Olsen's acting has improved so much, and you can tell that she has fun with this role. And I like that she can go from being this happy person in this town to the point where when she feels threatened, her voice starts to get deeper, the accent starts to come out, and it's almost like she's almost being mind controlled in her own world, like that she's quote unquote created. But when she feels threatened, that's when she goes into Scarlet Witch mode. But when she raised her hand up, and all the soldiers' eyes turned red, and she turned around and flicked her hand, and they pointed the guns at the director, I was like, "Oh wow!" And then she walked back to the field, and she turned it all red. She said, "Fine, now none of y'all's coming in. Nothing. You can't come in. You can't send objects in." She basically made that force field so much stronger.
Yeah, and also when we talk about how it's, of course it was the easy tale, but I love it when she tilts that head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When she does the Michael Myers head tilt.
The head tilt. When she does that head tilt, and it's just like, ooh, there she is. Okay, I see. There she is.
They probably said, they probably said, "We want you to do like a head tilting type of thing, but when you do it, we want you to have this real sinister look on your face. We want you to have this death stare in your eyes." Because I'm not even gonna lie, when she does that, it's kind of scary. It's very eerie because you don't know what she's about to do. Like, it's almost like one of the things where if you ran into someone like that on the street and they did that, you would want to go the other way because they look like they look unstable. You don't know what they're about to do.
And it's crazy is I wonder if it was a calculated decision by just the director wanting her to do it, or something she did as an actor in Ultron. And then the fact that they go back to that, you know what I'm saying? And they keep it, that just is a small little detail, just like Doctor Strange, his hands still shake, you know what I'm saying? Like, they make sure that even when they're got all these other bigger things going on, that the little bitty things are there. You know what I mean? So that's what the head tilt and the accents, it's scary. Enrique, what we're talking about is that we feel like they're planting the seeds for Monica's powers to be coming into light here. When she's sitting on that table, remember she gets her x-rays and there's nothing there. We see that flat. We see the x-rays. I feel like they're setting something up because they're telling her we can also do it again, and she refuses. I feel like in that
she was
moment,
over
that's
at that
just the
point.
hints, being set up for something
And
else
one
is
thing I
going on.
noticed, I don't know if it was the screen or something like that, but did you notice the color of the scan? The scan was like a glowy yellowish color,
Yeah, it
which
was a
when you think
glowy, looked
about
like
it,
a glowy light.
like a glowy light. And basically in the comics, when Monica is at her full power, she turns into this glowing light color. Because isn't one of her nicknames the Sun Goddess?
I don't remember that one.
I can't remember if that's one of her one of the other nicknames she has, because she has so many. Maybe I'm getting her mixed up with somebody else. I might be getting her mixed up with somebody else.
That one.
Yep, it is. The Sun Goddess is another one of her nicknames. That's dope.
Wow. Yes, I knew Pulsar. I knew those, but I didn't know the Sun Goddess. And I don't feel like she's going to be Photon because we saw Photon, and unless she takes on that name after her mother, I feel like that was just like them showing, a nod to the character by naming her Maria, by calling her Maria Photon Rambeau. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's probably going to be Spectrum. What do you think?
I don't know which name they're going to go by first. I think if they want to, I know based on how they advertise Photon in Captain Marvel and in this show, that they're naturally going to start with Photon first. But I think a lot of people wish they would start with Spectrum.
I wonder if they just did that as a little nod to the character. With the mom's name, I don't feel like they're going to actually go with her for her Monica. I think it's going to be Spectrum. So I feel like that's just like a little Easter egg, little happy moment for Photon as a character. But I don't think we're going to pass seeing the name Photon. Maybe, possibly. I think it's just going to be from that image there, that plaque for her mother, the founder of SWORD type of thing.
Yeah. But you know what? It would be dope if they just show just a little hint of her power on the finale. They don't have to go full blown with it. I actually would prefer that they don't. Just show just a little bit of her power, just to give us a little tease, for us fans of her character, because she's another character, much like Black Panther, that we've been wanting to see on screen for some time now, to see and explore what her powers and her abilities. Because when I first found out that she was going to be in this show as the adult version, I said, okay, I don't want to get too excited, because they could just have her there and just have her be there. And this could be just like her as an agent and, throughout the show. But now looking at it and the possibility that her powers are going to be manifesting, I said, use that to the best of their abilities, but don't overdo it on the first glance. Don't give us the whole thing in one setting to the point we don't see it again. Give us a tease. That way, when we do see her again, then, show her using her powers even more. Let her be a developing character. Don't just have her be like Carl Manvers.
Yeah. But see, I think that they'll just show little bitty things, little bitty hints of stuff here and there. And maybe by the last episode, maybe she realizes, or maybe, they, or something that way. But I don't feel like in the show they might. I don't see it. They're going to really delve into it a whole lot. I think we're just going to see the little beginnings of it, and then by the time she gets into Captain Marvel 2, maybe by the last episode, maybe she uses a power for a split second. But by the time we get to Captain Marvel 2, I feel like she will be really using them, even then and there, depending on how many months later that's going to be, or if it's going to jump right, just days later. However, but I'm sure it won't just jump to days later. But, however that jumps to Captain Marvel in the timeline would make sense. If it's been 8 months, well, her powers have grown, and now she might be able to control them and use them and, and harness them. And now she's going to have, she's going to see Captain Marvel. They'll probably have a discourse, right? It won't be great, right? A great conversation. We know that we're going to get Secret Invasion. So I feel like if that's done right, that Monica Rambeau in Secret Invasion and one of I think the writer of Captain Marvel 2 wrote episode 3 of WandaVision.
Yeah.
So there's that too. So maybe with these other people coming into the movie and, you know, having a better director this time around, hopefully. I don't know if the director's better, but I know that the script
they said
seems
that
like it's going in the right direction.
For what?
Yeah, she just doesn't have a lot of credit. So, you know, I know she directed Candyman, and I've heard some people say not so good things about that movie. She directed Into the Woods movie, is that the name of it? And I'm sorry, something else maybe?
I'm not sure. We got to look her credits up.
It's just I believe she has 2 because I looked it up and I was like, wow, way to check a box. That's just how I felt about it. I mean, unless they saw Candyman and thought it was amazing, I just don't.
I mean, we'll see. LJ said her name is Nia DaCosta.
I knew her name was Nia DaCosta. Yeah,
but
sorry, I didn't say her name. I just like speaking about just like I see good things, but then that makes me worry about.
But we'll see.
The Eternals director does. She's actually nominated for a Golden Globe. She's got a lot going for her. Okay.
Enrique said, "Oh, can we talk about the commercial?"
Oh yes, we will talk about. You want to actually, if you
I picked that one up immediately. Like that one stood out. That one was so obvious.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, that's funny, but that's messed up.
It's also messed up at the same time.
There were like logos,
and it's crazy because the first image that we see is of her spilling a red drink, indicating that it's blood, but they use it as juice and was wiping it up, and it was just like all over the place because that particular paper towel was not strong enough to absorb all of that. And then they call it Lagos. And the tagline that they gave, I'm like, oh my God, did they really just do that?
Go for it. Tell everybody what the tagline is.
Wasn't it something, I forgot exactly what it was, but they said for when you mess up big time or something like that.
When you mess up when you didn't mean to.
Yes. Yeah. I said I feel like I shouldn't be laughing at this.
No, when you make a mess and you didn't mean to.
Yes. I'm like, I should not be laughing at this. But how could they?
I know. And then, like, you know what else is funny? And, like, some people are, like, taking it, like, way too serious. Like, you know how, like, the opening credits? Okay. I can't believe I didn't start with the opening credits. Because they're so good at getting these opening credits in line with the type of opening credits that were happening
at that time
during those time periods. And so like the pictures, right, are amazing. And then you get to Vision and you're like, what?
Oh yeah,
and like
Vision
obviously
as a baby.
That's the running gag and the running joke is Vision as a baby. Vision was never these things, right? He's like this little fat little baby. So it was funny, you know, that even these credits, she's like fabricated these pictures too. Yeah. She could have like showed a picture of him looking outside in Ultron, like, you know, when he first, you know, is brought to life, you know, but no, she went with some fake stuff.
And also, did you notice in the opening credits for the show, remember the part where Vision and Wanda and the kids were running to the camera? Do you know where that came from? That came from Full House.
Yes.
For those who did not pick that up, that was a nod to Full House, which of course Elizabeth Olsen's famous twin sisters, Mary-Kate and Ashley, were on. I picked that up immediately, and then when I went to Twitter, Full House was trending, and I knew exactly why.
I didn't notice it the first time, but when I watched it back, just like the the credits back, then I noticed it. Because after I watched it, I go back and watch a few things. I didn't notice it at first, but I went back and I was like, oh my gosh. Because I knew a Full House. I was like, I knew because from what she said that there's a very meta Full House moment in, you know what I mean, in the show.
Yeah, and that was it.
And that was it. And it was like, oh, that was tight too, you know? I mean, it just like these credits, like, yeah, I know that some people it's cheesy and maybe you don't like the sitcom thing, but you have to give them credit because they use the same lighting, the same cameras when they shoot this stuff. You know, the sets they make, you know, sure that it's very authentic to the time. And so the show within the show is this, you know, amazing piece of work, as well as, you know, these other subplot, the bigger things that we want to see, you know, more of Sword, more. I know a lot of people, yes, the Sword episode, you know, from Monica's, you know, perception and from the Sword agent's perceptions. Yes, it was filler, but for me, it was great filler, you know.
Yeah.
I liked it. I enjoyed seeing that. Like I said, we've talked about how episode was very Monica heavy.
Yeah.
And I loved every minute of Monica Rambeau. And now even we see her now in this episode, just like the basic thing we knew, that she was going to be kind of in charge of these two bumbling idiots, right? and that's what she does, you know.
Yeah.
She just goes in, she commands it, and her character, you believe her, you know. She's not the softest of characters, but it's not like,
and I think it's
I feel like it's dope that who she is, though.
Yeah, and I think it's dope too that you said it, because you know they make sure to also give her respect, because they always make sure to say Captain Monica Rambeau. They don't just say Monica Rambeau. They like actually throw her title in her name, which I think is dope, because in the comics she was one of the first female leaders of the Avengers. As a matter of fact, I think she was the first female leader of the Avengers. So I think it's dope that they have her kind of, you know, still being in a leadership role, even in this show.
Yes. And like, I like to see that. And I like to see, you know, a strong character who makes sense. And it's just like, you know, this is who Monica Rambeau should be. And I feel like her being in the show, it makes sense. And yeah, I think young Tiana is amazing. So like I said, she deserves a movie, and you know, Captain Marvel 2 really doesn't. You know, I feel like the movie is going back to Captain Marvel 2, just with her alone being in it. If they give her enough screen time and she has something big enough to work with.
I think she's going to have the Black Panther effect. I think she's going to have the Black Panther effect, like how they introduced T'Challa in Civil War, and then after they saw it, they were begging for a Black Panther movie. So I think she's going to have that same effect, that they're going to see Monica Rambeau in Captain Marvel 2. Shoot, if they show just a little bit of her powers in this show, they probably gonna be begging for a movie just off of that. But they're gonna be like, oh, when did we see her? They're gonna be Captain Marvel 2. And watch, they're gonna use Captain Marvel 2 as a bargaining chip so they can go and watch the movie. They're gonna probably sell her more so than Carol Danvers. Which I will be okay with, but you know, that could be a bait and switch type of thing.
I just feel like when it comes to a diverse character, that I feel like some of the people that I feel like are going to be getting spotlight, some of it feels forced a little bit, but I feel that the approach that they are doing with Monica, I feel like it makes sense, right? To me anyway. And I don't feel like it's a forced feeling, you know, for her character.
Yeah.
So Top Boy. Okay. LJ, I'll have to look into that one. Okay. I'm just saying, I know she doesn't have a lot of credits, and these bigger scale movies, right? You have to be able to tell a good story, and then also the action has to be there, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the directors who are good at telling good stories, the action misses for them. Ryan Coogler, his movie Black Panther is an epic, wonderful movie, right? But it's not
Yeah.
perfect and it has issues, right? And some of
Yeah.
the issues that it has with it is the action, right? Like, is the action overall, you know? So a lot of times what works best with a lot of these, directors who are good at telling these, epic stories, a lot of times is if they bring in like someone who can help them kind of as like a co-director on the action part,
Yeah.
to help them and guide them. And I just don't want the action in Captain Marvel 2, especially if you're going to have Monica Rambeau, and you're also going to have Secret Invasion going in there. I don't want the action to be weak and lackluster,
Right.
Like the action that we got in Captain Marvel.
If you want to
The
call
biggest
it that.
action sequence we got in the movie. If they put that dumb song on top of that, I'm a girl, right? So that
Yes.
grounded it, and it just like tried to seep that agenda like down into your throat.
That
I
part took
couldn't
me
even
out of
watch
that
it.
scene.
Like,
That
so
part,
maybe
because of that song, took me out of that scene.
horrible, horrible. It's just like, why do we have to try so hard? She's a woman and she's fighting. Play another song. Like, it just for me, it was just like, ooh, I cringed a little bit inside, when I saw that, and that's me. Maybe some women found it uplifting and they felt empowered. Me, I just was like, this is kind of cringy, but that's me. And I don't have a problem sticking up and saying what I think. So I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, I agree.
right?
I agree. I mean, I had a lot of issues with the movie, but that part really, really was cringy.
But people would be like, oh, well, she must be a meek woman. No, check me. I'm not. Okay. You know what I'm saying? If you're watching this back, no, not at all. It was whack, Nikki. There it is. Coming from my twin right there. That was whack. Hi, Nikki. Hope you're having a good day. Hope work's going well for you, love. Yeah, so that was, it was just a mess, right?
Yeah.
And so, like I said, we're going to move on from Captain Marvel because I will continue to talk
Right.
about it and the problems that it has. But I'm going to go into Captain Marvel 2 a little bit more optimistic, just because Tiana Parrish is in the movie.
Yeah.
We're going to get to see Monica Rambeau's character. Then we're going to get to see Secret Invasion. So, in the screenwriter seems like a good choice. So, if the director can pull it all together, and if you all understand that Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, this version of Carol Danvers, Brie Larson is kind of playing Captain Marvel who she is, right? She is a Kree soldier, all right? She lacks a lot of the emotion that you would expect one to have, as well. So that's just a basic principle just of who Captain Marvel is. And she is very SJW in the comic book too, right?
Yeah.
These are two big things. And that's why Captain Marvel as a character, even her comic books are hit and miss, right? Because she's such a polarizing character, even on page. So it was a very interesting choice for them to go that way. And then they picked, I guess, the best person who embodies these things in real life to step in to be Captain Marvel.
She definitely is that.
And if they can maybe explain that a little bit more, or she comes out of that a little bit more, and we see the Russo brothers in Endgame, you see like she's barely on the screen, right?
Yeah. Which I
Better
loved.
character development. Who she is in that movie is a lot better than you got in that 2-hour trash of her own. Like, I was like, okay, all right, if you're going to be like this, maybe, but also I've only saw you for like 5 minutes, so I can't really, I don't know.
Yeah, I
But
think
it's
I think they
better.
actually filmed. I think they actually filmed her scenes in Endgame
Yeah.
before they shot anything
Yes,
for her movie.
yes, it was true. They even said that bringing her in when her origin story, and her story had not even been written, was a little different, right? But still, that Captain Marvel is absolutely better than what we got, right? And maybe that's her evolving, and maybe this new director will take that note and expand on that, and hopefully she will not be not so emotionless, because what makes a good hero is that at times they have emotions and they express those emotions. She's we saw her struggle with trying to gain those, but even then, when she did, we didn't believe it, right?
Right.
So that's why she doesn't come across as a hero a lot. Really. And what did she really do? She discovered the truth about herself. She didn't really stop anybody.
And then they try to sell us on.
She let
you need to go.
Some people, but she let him go.
Then they sold us on. You got to go watch Captain Marvel to go see how it ties into Endgame. If that wasn't one of the biggest marketing scams ever, because you could have watched Endgame without watching her movie.
The only thing you needed was that end credit scene.
The end credit scene
to make sense to how
she got there.
She got to Tony.
We could have just watched that.
But and then maybe so we could understand Skrulls, so we can understand the whole end meaning of Spider-Man 3, and then maybe the bigger thing as it goes into Secret Invasion, maybe. But just
that movie you cannot save that movie.
Just in the bigger scheme of things. In my opinion, no, it did. You didn't have to see it, but I was committed to it. And even if they didn't sell me on that, I had to see it, I would have went and saw it anyway, because it would have been, and that was a great marketing tool and a great decision by Kevin Feige, right? He said, you have to see this movie. You have to see the spot that it fell in a great position, right? Right after both of these movies, in the middle of them, so it easily made $1 billion, right?
Yeah,
it easily made $1 billion just off hype alone. So moving forward, if for some reason, and Captain Marvel 2 might make $1 billion again, but I feel like Captain Marvel 2, unless everything is grander and bigger on scale, it's going to be hard, especially in this time world. We don't know what it's going to look like. And even if it is back to normal by the time the film comes out, or is it going to make $1 billion? That's always that's my new question. I don't see it making $1 billion without these epic things within the film. Monica Rambeau, not enough. Secret Invasion type, maybe these things, and maybe something else all together, because we do know that moving forward that all the MCU films are going to be grander in scale. Kevin Feige said that. So we know that everything is getting bigger. So I feel that if the film is on that epic scale and it's on that level, it'll get to that $1 billion mark.
They got a lot of convincing to do.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot.
Thanks to Chillmonger. Thanks to Nick Fury's beeper, it made $1 billion. Exactly. And Shug Feige, my homie, I call him up. He's good at spinning that, right? He's good at spinning it, because Captain Marvel was the strongest Avenger, right?
Yeah.
That's what we heard. She's so OP.
Allegedly.
She's so OP. Endgame happens, right? After Endgame, who is the strongest person in the MCU?
Scarlet Witch.
Wanda Maximoff. He says Wanda Maximoff. And in this show, you will see why she's called the Scarlet Witch. Because he even says that we've never called her that. So, that's what I'm saying. The spin doctor is good at spinning those records, right? Yeah. So now it's Wanda. And maybe it will be Wanda. I think he's going to stay on that Wanda tip because of Spider-Man 3, also going into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Because by that time, even though I feel like she's being manipulated here, by the time we get to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I feel like that she has completely has had a break here, and is the villain, and maybe this other person is possibly there with her. But now she has lost it, right?
So this show, WandaVision, is the launch pad of Phase 4 going into this realm that we're going in, and that's why I said at the end of this show, on the last episode, something's gonna pop off, and then that's when everything's gonna spiral out of control. Like it's almost like her, whatever she has going on in her world that she has created is going to explode or implode on itself, but it's going to explode out into reality, and then it's going to throw everything off. That's the only way I can really make sense of it.
Yes, and then we also I just lost my train of thought. When we think about Spider-Man Far From Home, and then like we just like, I don't know what I wasn't thinking. We just talked about. I was like, duh, whoa, that's wait, hold on. Yeah, okay. So WandaVision, we know, is 3 weeks after the snap, right? Spider-Man Far From Home is 8 months after the snap, right?
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier right now, we don't know where that falls in line. But I feel like that might still be early along in the timeline. That might change. That's not a theory that I'm necessarily sticking to at this point, because I haven't even started to even delve in to Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is, we got to start doing that soon.
Right.
But these things happen, right? We see the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, and it made sense too. We're like, what? Why is he in this movie? Why is Joe Jonah Jameson, Sam Raimi version in this movie?
Yeah.
Now we know it's because the multiverse at this point is already started to crack. And I guess it's not going to be something that it's not going to happen overnight, unless it's happening in small droves and people are not seeing it yet, right?
Yeah.
So by that time, maybe at that 8-month mark, that's when everything starts, to go crazy. So we wonder how far away from Spider-Man 3 in the timeline will it be from Far From Home. Maybe it's the same school year and it's just now Christmas time, because apparently Spider-Man 3 takes place during Christmas. So it could just be, several months later, he's back in school. It's not school. Yeah.
And also remember too that in Spider-Man 3, Doctor Strange is going to be in that. I don't know how big of a role or small of a role he's going to have in that movie, but he's going to be in that movie. And this movie is supposed to be now coming out after Doctor Strange instead of before it, because it was supposed to come out at the end.
Well, I think that they're now, everything is going to be, it's still going to be the same way, but Doctor Strange
is going to get pushed up. Move. Okay. Oh yeah, because Spider-Man 3 was supposed to come out at the end of this year, but he's going to be in that. We don't know what role he's going to play, because originally Doctor Strange was supposed to come out before Spider-Man 3. So now they have it, Spider-Man 3 is coming out before Doctor Strange. So it makes you wonder, what changes in the script did they make for it to come out before that, and how will it make sense to have that come out before Doctor Strange 2?
Well, like I said, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man 3 is going to show basically just like the cracks that are caused, and Wanda might possibly maybe be in Spider-Man 3. We don't know yet. There are some hints that she might be there, but not, in the same capacity as Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange will be, but that she might possibly be in the film too. From what I heard, they were trying to get that figured out, her possibly being in the film.
Yeah, she could possibly have a mention of her in the movie. Like she would have to get mentioned somehow, some way. But I'm still trying to figure out, like, will Doctor Strange have a small cameo in WandaVision, or will he be mentioned somewhere, or will they not mention him? And then the only time that it comes up will be in Spider-Man 3, because they're going to try to be like, okay, how is all of this happening? And then that's when Doctor Strange is going to be like, okay, I have to figure out what's going on, because doesn't Wanda go to him for help?
To Doctor Strange?
Yeah. Or does he just kind of find her?
Well, generally, I mean, before in the comic books, yes, he's helped her. He's aided her. He's the one that has helped Wanda before. You know, he's been a mentor to Wanda too, as well. So him coming in, even though he doesn't have that relationship with her yet in the MCU, that maybe during Multiverse of Madness, if they can make it make sense, he can relate to her on some on the magic, aka science. You know, hopefully they're going to get a level that they have in the MCU, because they both have that similarity. So maybe that connection, because he's a sorcerer, she's a witch. Maybe he can appeal to her some way, but I don't think that it's going to be that easy, to be like, hey, Wanda, stop this. We're both witches.
I'm actually getting excited just thinking about this, because like we're finally going to also see Wanda go to the extreme, which is something that we've been wanting to see from her character for so long, because I feel like they kind of suppressed her powers over the course of the phases that she's been in. And it's like now we're starting to it's almost like we're just starting to scratch the surface with her. And I think by the time she is in Doctor Strange, that's when we're really going to see her really go all out. And that's going to be, listen, the effects in that movie are going to be nice to see, with her and Doctor Strange going at each other. Like, I can already see that budget for that movie is going to be like up there, just on the visual effects alone.
Yes. I want to go to Coop's point here. He says, I think Paul will still be in the MCU. He has been Jarvis Vision, and he may be a new character after this. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think Vision is leaving. I think that he's just going to be transformed in some kind of way. And when we get closer to that happening, I'll pull up, when it does, I'll pull up why I thought that, because there's some evidence, but I'm just trying not to put too many things out there to ruin it for people, so I'm trying to rein it back a little bit. When we get closer to the time, I will pull that up.
And what's so crazy? It's like, just
I want everybody to enjoy it, because I think I've figured it out. And if I bring it up now and then it happens, then I'll feel, but I'm pretty sure we've already seen a hint of what Vision looks like now.
And I feel like I'm just looking back at it now and realizing how unfair. I'm just looking at it right now and realizing how unfair the world really is right now. Because if everything was on the up and up, we would be getting prepared for Doctor Strange to come out this year, like this summer. Like, we probably would have had a teaser trailer right now and getting ready to probably see another trailer, maybe on the Super Bowl or something like that, for that movie right now, if it wasn't for Bud Light.
Yeah, we've already seen the Eternals. We've already
seen Black Widow.
We've already seen Falcon.
We was already Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
we would have seen all of these things already, guys. But hey, it is wanted chance, right? It does, suck a little bit, but we're getting some stuff, and I'm like, March is about to be lit, right, guys?
Yeah,
like March.
And the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
We get Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You get Godzilla versus Kong. You get also, what else do we get?
That cut. That I'm not even hyped for. I'm just ready for it to get over with. Like, that's what I'm ready for.
I will say, as it relates to the Snyder Cut, okay. I'm going to say it. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, Mortal Kombat. Thank you. I knew I was forgetting something else too.
I think Mortal Kombat comes out in
Mortal
April.
Kombat, I think it comes out in March, doesn't it? Yeah, they moved it. I think it comes out in March.
I think it comes out in April.
Right?
Let me check.
Maybe it is April. But those aren't coming for a while. Is it April or March?
April 16th.
Yeah, it's April. Okay. Is there something else in March though that I'm forgetting?
Not that I. Let me see. HBO Max. What's coming out in March in HBO Max?
Maybe it's not HBO Max. When does maybe it's something else. I'm trying to well, we'll figure it out, right? I said Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that's coming out in March.
Yeah.
Because they actually delayed that a week just so they could release that Snyder cut.
For Snyder. And Snyder comes out the day before Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? What date is wait. It comes out the 13th. Wait, when does it come out?
Let's see, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Let me see. When is that?
Comes out March 19th. The 19th. What is the release date for Snyder Cut?
March 19th. And it's crazy because I typed their name into Google.
Yeah, it does. I thought I was right. Yeah.
Yeah, I typed the Falcon and the Winter Soldier into Google and it said first episode date August 2020. I said, well, not anymore. But it is March 19th, 2021. That's the first episode.
I will say this real quick about Snyder Cut is the Hive is going to do a great little thing about Snyder. The polarizing nature of BVS, Justice League, the Frankenstein movie that it was, and the road that got, here to Snyder Cut, along with the nasty vitriol that comes along with it.
The internet is going to be on fire.
They're also going to, show images, from what Snyder's Justice League looks like, as opposed to what Whedon's looks like. And I will tell you, some of the images, and I'm not like about this movie really. Like, it's like, for me, am I interested? Yes, right. But it's like a car wreck. Like I've said before, you have to look, right? That is how I'm looking at it overall. That I'm going to try my best to go into it and be like, I hope I like this movie. I hope it's great, right? But some of the images that I have seen that are for images from Zack Snyder's film, the images do look better than the images that we did get in the other cut, okay? And I'm just gonna say that and be fair. But am I excited to see a 4-hour movie? No. With a lot of dialogue? And then the action will be grand when we get it, but will it really balance the 4-hour scale of the movie that it is? That I feel like it's going to be heavy, and it's going to be, just going to be something that's going to like lay on your chest for long periods of time, just because that's just the feel that I get from his movies, right? I feel like they're very heavy at the end of the day,
Right. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, getting back to the lecture at hand, that's me going off the rails. Hope you enjoyed that. The ramblings of a mad woman, ladies and gentlemen. There it was. That was your daily dose of that. But getting back to WandaVision, right? Yes, I want to Laundry Day. Welcome. It said, did you catch Norm's license information saying he was? Yes, I did. Actually, we did pull that up and read that he was concerned about his family to Vision last week. They didn't happen until this week, because I think that he had already, yes, we see it happening on the show, but I feel like he'd already had been unlocked, because it said before that he had come out of that spell before, or that he had mentioned this again. And I feel like if it was the same exact incident, because the way that the incident's described is a little bit different in the description. It does not mention Wanda. It doesn't mention Vision unlocking him. And I feel like that if Vision did that at that time when they were making those notes, Vision's name would have been there. So that's why I don't feel it's the same incident. Even when you look at it, it's similar but a little bit different. What do you think, Taurean?
Repeat that part again, because I was actually looking at Twitter and how much stuff related to WandaVision is trending. Like they got Multiverse of Madness is trending, Mephisto is trending, Pietro is trending, and X-Men is trending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's get to Pietro, right?
Mm-hmm. We'll in that last cut right there. Because I'll admit, when I saw the preview, I was like, who was that at the door when she opened it? Because she had this stunned look on her face, but we didn't know who it was. And then when they kind of panned the camera to the back and I saw the hair, I was like, wait a minute. I think I know who it is, but which one is it? And then it was the Evan Peters version of it. I was like, oh, they got the Fox version of it in the MCU. And like I said earlier in the stream, there's the cross right there. And it's interesting that Darcy said they recast Pietro.
Mm-hmm. Recast him. But the moment before that was interesting to me, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the moment, they're going at it. They're having an argument and he's telling her, you have to let these people go. Basically, what you're doing here is not right. And she's having a moment and like he's trying to talk her into changing it. And then she looks at him and she tells him, thank you, kid. That's exactly what I'm thinking as well. Is that, I didn't do that. And he basically tells her, well, right now, I really don't believe you, right?
And it's amazing how when the credits started to roll and he was going at her and then the credits just stopped. They just glitched and they stopped.
When he went into the family room, the living room, and he knocked that door, those credits go away.
Just exactly.
And I'm saying, think about that. Vision is angry. I know a lot of you all are probably happy for that, but Vision, think about how abnormal that is. That Vision is expressing anger.
Especially since he's always been known to be a very calm character, and now he's mad, and you can tell, he literally put all his emotions on the table at that point. Especially the part when he said, "I'm scared." It was that line right there that got me out of his entire rant to Wanda, was when he told her I was scared. And that was the first time we saw Vision float or levitate throughout the entire series, which we already knew he could fly.
Yeah. And
then she floated up right beside him, and she had her little I want to say beam balls, but her little orbs or whatever.
Her energy orbs. Her mind stone.
Yeah, and they were going at it in that moment, and then she was like, and it was at that moment too where she also was being vulnerable and saying, I don't know what's happening. And remember, she was the same one that said that she was in control of everything. In that moment right there, she realized she's not in control. Like she had to finally say, I'm not doing this. I don't know what's happening.
And I feel like even before that, she even kind of alludes to that I'm in control, but I'm not in control on the scale that you believe I am to be on. I feel like, and Meekins, I want to get to his little point here. He says, it was nice to see him finally have some other emotion besides philosophical, LOL. Yes, yes, it is. And Laundry Day says, anger is human. Since he's real on the show, he's a real boy now on the outside. Yeah, it seems that way. Because he talks about how he doesn't have fear. He talks about that when Wanda asked him in Civil War, are you afraid of me? And now he's expressing fear.
And also in the scene right before the credits roll, and when he was talking about how he was talking to Norm, I forgot what the line was that he gave, and she did that head tilt and said, "Can't I?" I was like, well, sheesh, that was real cold.
You can't control me, Wanda.
She's like, can't I? I was like, that was real cold.
Yeah, in that moment. And then you see them have that moment going back and forth. And she tells him, I didn't do that. I didn't ring that person here.
Mm-hmm.
So we see Wanda possibly being talked out of this situation.
Yeah.
Right. The person that she cares about the most is telling her that what she's doing is wrong. And maybe she's thinking about it, right? And then what happens as a distraction, ding dong, because she's telling us, and I believe it, just because the emotion alone, she did not, because it would make no sense for her to say that as a character, because then it would be a silly throwaway line. And it's not when she says, I didn't ring him here. I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another outside force, whether Agnes did it, right?
Yeah.
And then when we get to the part Kid is already, pushed along farther along in the conversation than I was, make sure everybody be careful. I want to say about leaks, because I don't want anybody, I know I've said things, it's Mr. Taurean, but I thought you already knew because we kind of like talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it.
But just make sure if you to be careful what you see, because there is, I think it's gone now unless somebody has a screenshot and they send it to you or something, or you find it in an obscure place, because Disney made sure they got that down quick. But just be careful. I don't want anybody, other than us talking, speculations and theories. Like sometimes some of these theories I feel like are too close in line with other things. So when we get closer to that, I'll bring that up. But just like flat out leaks, like I won't talk about those, just because I don't feel like we need to do that, So like make sure that in the chat, like if you see a leak, like actual footage, we're not talking about anything. I mean, other than the one really big thing, Enrique, it was just one, but I mean, it was just the context of it that's really sad, because you see something, and it's just like the whole thing was like, oh, it leaked Quicksilver. I feel like it leaked something bigger than that, and that's sad. If you saw it, it's sad. Stuff like that doesn't ruin things for me. Because I analyze it and then I try to figure out, what else can that mean? But I don't always watch them myself, But yeah, so I hope people weren't ruined on that, because it does leak something bigger than that. It really does.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's not just.
This episode, like I said, this show just keeps getting better and better with every week. And here I'm thinking that last week was going to be the best episode. This one, I'm gonna just stop saying that this was the best episode, because they just keep getting better. Like I'm being more and more satisfied as time goes on. And I think that this show, despite how a lot of people felt before it, are now finally coming around to it if they weren't already. And this is a good, I guess you can say, ushering back into the MCU after not having any content all of last year, for obvious reasons. And, I think a lot of people missed that. And we're finally getting it through this show. And it's crazy because this is only episode 5. We got 4 more episodes to go. Like, who knows what's going to happen in those episodes, but I'm prepared. I'm going to take that back. I don't think I'm prepared for that finale. That finale is going to wreck all of us.
Yes, I agree. And like, I would say like Kid, a lot of people, I'm not talking about you directly, Kid. Okay. I just said Kid. I know Kid from the beginning, he enjoyed it. He was intrigued. And a lot of people that's what a lot of people said from the beginning, that they were intrigued and they wanted to see where it was going, and it still held their attention. And then a lot of people say this is not for the casual Marvel fan. Yet maybe overall, maybe it's not. And then the next argument is, well, these new people that are watching it, were they old sitcom lovers? No. I mean, take an example. I mean, Flash, he's seen MCU films, right? Shout out to Flash. And he is enjoying WandaVision,
Yeah.
And I feel like that when people make that argument, I don't think that that's a fair assessment, because, people who weren't diehard on the Marvel train So they were intrigued, and they're still intrigued, and now they're invested because they see that build. You know what I'm saying? Of the show, and they're enjoying it. So when people say this is not for the typical Marvel fan or the casual fan, I think that that's not true, because it does have a lot going on in the show, right? But if you are a casual viewer, if you're not like over analyzing all these things, you're not going to notice them. You might notice, oh, like the commercial, because you remember like the small things, but the bigger things on scale, like that some of us obsess over, that we notice, that's not, you're not going to get into that. So I don't feel like you're confused by that. Like some people make that argument, and I don't think it's a valid argument. But when we see the Quicksilver, right? I feel that he is not really Quicksilver,
Yeah. One thing I do like, though, that I didn't pick up on until just now, is I like that they kept his personality from the X-Men films that he was in under Fox. They kept the same personality. You could see it right there. It's not like they tried to make him the carbon copy of the one we got in Ultron, which I like. They didn't try to make them parallel with each other. They let Evan Peters continue to be the same kind of person. Well, that version of Quicksilver be the same version of it in there. And what's interesting, and I don't know if you picked this up or not, but in X-Men, his name was not Pietro, it was Peter. Yeah. So this is the first time we hear him be called Pietro, his real name, in this setting of his version of Quicksilver.
Yeah. And I think that it's just like, yeah, because it's like, we also knew that Aaron Taylor Johnson wasn't coming back in any way, in any form or fashion, right? He was not on the table, not happening. So for them to bring him back, it has to be in this weird, I mean, to bring anybody back, you have to sell it. And sometimes with some of the people the MCU has brought back so far, I'm like, now show me how you're going to sell me that Gamora is back. How are you going to sell that to me? Like some of these people, but Vision, it makes sense. And in this weird world where I feel like maybe you're someone else, because we know Evan Peters, is a great actor, but also maybe they're doing that here to show that this weird crack has happened already in the multiverse. And maybe he is just towing the line, and he really is just Quicksilver. Maybe it's that simple.
I wonder if he's going to use his Quicksilver abilities in a future episode. Wouldn't that be crazy if they allow? I know they probably won't, but if they did, I would be shocked. Wouldn't it be crazy if they allow him to do his infamous like run scenes like they did in X-Men, which people love, like that scene when they went to go get Magneto out of that prison, or the one when they were saving the people out of the X mansion from exploding. I wonder if they would do something like that in this episode. Like, what if, say, something happened to the town and he had to get everybody out?
Well, I mean, I know Killmonger, I have to do that. I still have to go back and do that. I haven't had a chance to watch it again, but I've been given that information, and I'm going to go back and do that. I wouldn't suggest people who don't want to know things to do that. If you want to discover it as the episode airs, don't do that. But I've already, been given a little about that. So I'm definitely going to do that, Killmonger. Because I just don't think that that's what's happening. It would be great that if he was actually Quicksilver, but I don't think that that's what's happening here. But and I feel that's also why it's Evan Peters too. I feel like it's a good fake out. And maybe he's gonna be Quicksilver for the moment, and then possibly be someone else, shapeshift into someone else, because the timing of him showing up right is interesting, right, in that moment, because Wanda already has Vision, right?
Yeah,
she already has these beautiful children, what else could Wanda need to keep her little world perfect, and that she would never want to go against that world, never fight against it, is if she had Vision, her children, and her brother, right? And so that keeps her locked in that space, because now she has everybody. We're talking about fan service. I don't know. Aaron Taylor Johnson is not coming back, from what, unless he's had a change of heart. I know a while back he alluded to the fact that he was done with Marvel in any capacity, but now maybe, but that was also when he was closer after the soon of Age of Ultron. I don't know if parts are drying up for him. If they ask him to come back, maybe he will. I ain't seen him in nothing.
I was looking it up, and they basically said that he was open to the idea of coming back to play Quicksilver, but they said he was also working on other projects that was conflicting with the schedule.
When you go back to some things he said several years ago, he alluded to like he didn't want to come back.
Oh, and then I think another thing is, I think on the fan side, people like Evan Peters' version of that character more, especially with what he did in the X-Men movies. I think a lot of people liked his version of Quicksilver more than Aaron Taylor Johnson's. And I've heard that. Like, I've heard people say that they liked I've heard people say that they liked his version more, because it's not to take anything away from Aaron Taylor Johnson, but it's almost like he didn't have the personality of Quicksilver. Quicksilver is also a very sarcastic asshole at times, and Aaron Taylor Johnson seemed to be too serious, which Wanda is supposed to be the more serious one. Like, both of you it's supposed to be a balance. One is supposed to be more more jokey, and the other one's supposed to be more serious. Even in the comics, that's how they were, but that's not what they got from him. So Evan Peters actually fits the mold of Quicksilver's personality.
And to be fair, I feel like Aaron Taylor Johnson tried to give us those moments,
but it just didn't stick. Fell flat. It just fell flat.
It didn't work. You did not see that one coming. You just sound like you're a dick to me. You really didn't sound like sarcastic, funny. Kind of he got you. Just, to me, it got like he's an asshole a little bit. That's it. From his version of Quicksilver. And then when we just look at the overall look, now from what I've seen, the hair does kind of remind me, some of the other things, not the hair, but never mind, I'm not going to go there. But because we'll just talk about that later when we see it. Evan Peters is a better actor too, Meekins.
Yeah.
Just how they had him running in Days of Future Past, I bet Kevin Feige was so upset in that moment. I bet that after he saw that, he was like, you know what, Whedon, I'm really, really, really done with you, because not only down the road, here comes this other version of Quicksilver, right? And he is a better actor. The CGI is better. The styling of the character is better. The overall everything about this Quicksilver is better in general. You know what I'm saying? And also, it's just like Aaron Taylor Johnson can't win, right? Aaron Taylor Johnson, Marvel Entertainment had a deal with Fox at the time, right? That they could use Wanda Maximoff and Pietro in the MCU. They could not refer to them as mutants, right? In the Avengers Age of Ultron. They also had plans to use their own Quicksilver. So they made the deal that, you can use him in this film, but moving forward, either he has to die in this film or he is out of commission moving forward. He cannot be in any other properties other than this movie. So they killed him for Evan Peters, right? And then Evan Peters comes on WandaVision and takes his part.
Yep.
Think about that. Evan Peters is just killing Aaron Taylor Johnson. And I think he was a little salty about that, because at one point he made it clear that he had no interest. Now that this opportunity arose again, because he thought that his character was dead and buried because Fox was not owned by Disney at this time, right? He felt that he knew there was no way at that time that his character was going to come back. Now that there was these theories that, oh, Quicksilver might come back, blah, 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 then you want to be like, oh, well, I'll be open to it, but you weren't open to it, 2 years ago when you said that. I'm buffering. So, yeah, but Evan Peters comes in. We only see him make the reference to Vision. And this is kind of a double meaning because he calls him a popsicle, right? And Vision's dead. Quicksilver, if you're truly Quicksilver, you're a popsicle too. So it's like you're talking about yourself and you're talking about Vision. We're gonna see. It just seems that things are off here with this,
and it's
things
crazy
are not all
too.
right in the world.
And it's crazy too because in Age of Ultron, Vision and all the other Avengers, they were fighting in that one scene together. But I guess they could say, well, Quicksilver was moving too fast, so he couldn't see him and everything. But his vision, he should have been able to spot him. But then when he said, "Who is this?" I'm glad they did that because when it comes to recasting, they always do this thing. It's like a joke. They did it with the Aunt Viv character in Fresh Prince when they recasted her. They was like, "Who is that?" And so when he came back and said, "Who is this?" Because they recast with somebody completely different. So I like how they did that as a running gag, because that's what sitcoms have been known to do when it comes to recasting.
And even Wanda had to be, kind of led to the fact that was her brother. You know what I mean? Because and then Darcy says she recasts him.
She said they recast
I don't
Pietro.
know. I don't know if she did. I have another theory about it too, but we'll see. But my main one, that I'm sticking to, is that this is someone who's masquerading themselves here as Pietro, and it's not him. It's this sinister, puppet master, or I don't believe this, but this was just a thought that I had. It's some weird way. It's Sword playing some weird game with Wanda.
Yeah, because it's almost like
I can see Tyler doing that.
Yeah, because it's almost like he just got dropped there. He just got planted there. He just got dropped there. Like when he rang the doorbell, they was like, okay, it's not Agnes, because Agnes would just walk right on in. But this person actually rang the doorbell twice and never came in, so they had to open the door. That's why she was confused. She was like, I didn't set that up. But Vision looked at her like, are you still lying to me? Are you trying to tell me that you really didn't set this up? And she was like, oh, so you still don't believe me? And that's when she went to the door, and she was shocked to see that it was him at the door. And I like how they added I like how they added in the applause from the audience. Like they were so happy to see him because, he is a fan favorite. Because I think as an audience watching that, we had the same reaction.
Yes. Yeah, the Sword director is like, I'm going to tell you, like, if this is not my theory, and I hear a lot of people going there like, oh, what if he's the bad guy? I'm telling you guys right now, if they use that weak plot line where the acting director of Sword is evil, I will be so annoyed. I will be annoyed because we've already seen that with S.H.I.E.L.D., so we're going to get it again.
I hope not either. I wish you didn't even throw that out as a theory.
No, that's not my theory. I'm just putting it out there because, like, sometimes when I hear like other little theories, I'll bring it up. And this is the shitty theory of the day, guys. Okay, it wins that award. I said a naughty word. Don't tell anybody. Okay, I won't say that word. I'll say it's the. Okay, I gotta come up with a name because I'm not gonna say the S word. It's the loser, right? If that is the plot. If that is the working theory, that he is somehow the puppet master and he works for AIM and he's doing all these things to Wanda because he has that shape of a hexagon on his wall. You know what? I'm going to tell you right now, I'll be like, you know what? This show can almost go in the trash if they do that. That will ruin it for me on like, because then you took all your originality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you carbon copy some crap right into it. So that's why I believe it's
now you're gonna have me on pins and you about to have me on pins and needles on that last episode.
No, I'm gonna call out a bad theory. I don't think that's gonna happen, guys.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen either, because that's too
saying,
easy and that's lazy writing.
I would be like, what was all this for? Did you just want to mine this one good time throughout the whole show and then just give us some basic stuff in the end? Don't do that. And I don't think it's going to be that. That's why it's a loser.
Especially since the buildup to this point has been epic so far. Like they literally have been hitting all the points. Don't end it like that. So I hope that is a bad theory and that is not how it ends.
Yeah. Yeah, and guys, don't get scared because there's dumb people that make up these dumb theories, okay? That's why it's the dumb theory winner of the week, okay? It's dumb theory. All right? I'm just saying if they did that, I would be mad and I would throw it in the trash. I'm bringing up if that theory happened, how I would feel about this trash theory, okay? Like, don't be scared. It's just a trash theory. And like, I don't see that happening.
Have you been seeing like clips in the previews and the promos of Wanda looking like she's laying on something and she's waking up, or she's like going through some kind of dimension or whatever? I think that's going to happen towards the end. Hopefully that will be the ending. I don't know what's to come from that, but hopefully that is the ending, and that's because we don't know what that's going to lead to.
I wonder, like, just because you brought that up, like, we don't see a whole lot. But like, I wonder if I would love it if it was like Doctor Strange doing that to her.
Yeah,
you know, like,
and also
like taking her, you know. But I don't, you know, but I don't think that projectional plane. I don't feel like that's what's happening.
And then we also see something blue that's glowing.
But maybe in his movie.
And we also see something blue glowing and something yellow glowing as well. And it's like when she sees that something that's yellow that's glowing, some people are saying, is that the Mind Stone? And then it explodes. So it's like, we don't know what it could possibly be. A lot of people are thinking it is, but I'm prepared to see what's to come of that. I think that's going to be more towards the end, though, of course.
Yes, I agree. I think that, you know, next episode is going to be heavy with Quicksilver. I think it is going to be Halloween. At this point. So I think we're going to get the Halloween code. I think that we're going to get and that's another thing. If you guys don't want me to talk about promos, we won't talk about promos. Because I was thinking about showing the promo for episode, the last promo that they aired. It did have elements for this episode as well as things we might see prior. But if you all don't want to see promos, just say no, and we won't play it, okay? But if you want to see the promo, we can play it and we can talk about it before we get out of here. But if not, we won't play those either. Because I know some people don't like to watch previews of television shows and things like that, because for them, it feels like it spoils them for things. So
and you already know the promo for episode 6 is going to be up sometime today or sometime before this weekend is out.
Because we see a little bit of episode 5 in this last promo, but then we also see things because we've all seen from episode 5.
I think episode 6 as well.
Yeah, we see things from episode 6. Okay, I've got 2 Nas. Joshua says play it. So what we'll do is after, if we see, this is what we'll do. If we see all of those things in episode 6 before the stream starts, we'll play that just so you all could have seen what the promo looked like, and tell me if you feel like it gave you too much in those promos, or if they were good at hiding certain things. So maybe it tricked you a little bit, or maybe you think, or just as a refresher, we'll play it and talk about it a little bit. and get your opinions on it. Yeah. So, but the promos are tight. They always get me hyped. I know, and I want to ask you, because before we get out of here, how do you feel? Because we're going to bring it up, every week, because I want to see if people's opinions are changing on this thought.
Yeah.
In the beginning, we got the first 2 episodes, right, of the show, and I feel like the reason why they did that is because it was so different. And the first 2 episodes were black and white, that they kind of wanted to give us those 2. And they both were, that 20-minute mark. They wanted to give us both of those in the beginning. They wanted to show us the first one where you see her, the little moment with Mr. Hart. And then the second episode, you kind of see bigger things. You hear Agent Wu's voice break in. You see the blood. You see the helicopter, which was really a drone, right? And you see the beekeeper, right? So I feel like that's why you got both episodes. And then the argument moving forward was, well, they should have just gave us all 9 episodes at once. This show would have been better to binge. And then a lot of people have come after Jake Schaefer. That's my question. And a lot of people have come after Jake Schaefer, who I think, created the show. She's a showrunner. They're giving her crap about the pacing of the show. To me, it works. Yes. Is it a slow? It's slow, but I like how they show you this first episode. Most of everything is pretty much fine, right? It's fine. It's fine until Mr. Hart chokes, right? Yeah. And then even if you think about it, Mr. Hart wasn't eating any food, right? So we know that Wanda did that, right? Miss Hart and Mrs. Hart, she's not talking to her husband when she's telling him to stop. She's talking to Wanda. That is her breaking out of that in her own weird way, telling her to stop doing these things to her husband. And Vision, who would normally act like that, doesn't act until Wanda tells him to. Strange, right? So we know that at some point, Vision was completely manipulated and under the spell as well. Exactly. And then I feel like him being the Mind Stone, he just unlocked himself, once he noticed little bitty things, right? And he even talks about, oh, you want me to go to bed so you can change the way the house looks? Like, he's noticed this.
Yeah, he's picking up on things.
But because he's loving her, he's not saying anything. And then when he's like, even when he, when we're talking about the credits, because that's when the credits are going, right? And then we see him slam that door, and then credits go away because she said she's going to bed. That ends it. Right? And he said, no, this is not ending. We see him angry. We see them both. At that point, I thought they were going to fight for a moment. I was like, oh, we're going to get a moment.
I think they might still go at it some point in the show. I think they might still do it.
The working theory that now is that Vision is now going to aid Sword in some capacity, okay, to stop Wanda. But ultimately, is he going to be able to stand against her the whole time? I don't know. Or is he going to realize, in the end, that that maybe he has to sacrifice himself, or maybe, but I still feel like Vision is still going to be around just because of other things. But temporarily, he might go away. And, we also heard, and we don't know if that's a manipulation, when Monica says the children are very real, right?
Yeah.
But was that a manipulation placed on Monica to make her believe that these children are real? But I believe that they're really real. Okay, because we know that they're setting up Young Avengers. We know Kate Bishop's coming. We know a lot of these young characters are coming down the pipeline. Wiccan and Speed. Tommy is Speed. Billy is weak. Is Wiccan? Is Wiccan? Oh, I can't talk. Wiccan. I need to drink some water. I've been talking too long. Is Wiccan, and the children are there, right? Mm-hmm. And it's weird. So I wonder, before she got there, I just want to bring up another point. I've got so many more points in my crazy head here, but I wanted to ask you, what did you think? Going back again, because we like skipped it. Next time we're gonna have to make it like we're not jumping, but but adding other things into as we feel. But what do you think when Wanda and Vision are talking? And Vision talks about, which we've already noticed, that there were no children. Mm-hmm. There's no children, right? And we knew that there were no children, for the children, because it all seemed very strange and odd, right? Because there were no children to speak of. And we knew the hope for the children moment was also a tie to Billy, which also was a tie to her being pregnant. But that hope for the children situation has a comic book tie with Billy with Wanda, when she loses him. Okay. So there's that connection. But when he tells her there's no other children here, the park is empty. Nobody plays at that park. So we know what the original Westview sign looks like, right?
Yeah.
All right, sorry, dropped myself out.
Okay.
I came back. Sorry, I meant to tell you, but I just hit the button too quick because it was messing up. But where are the children? Like I said, does that make sense?
What was that?
There's no children to be found anywhere. It seems like one of these families would have a child, but maybe like Dottie. That's why I questioned Dottie. We questioned Agnes. Neither one of them have children. Mrs. Hart, her children would be grown at this point, probably. So, and then we see Herb, and Herb is generally by himself. So, but Herb, if he does have a wife, he seems like he would be at the age to have children. Norm, his real real life, that he probably doesn't, because he's helping take care of his his family. But the fact that there's no children is a little strange. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think it is a bit strange, and the fact that they're the only ones that have children in that neighborhood. Like nobody else has kids, and like you said, with the whole for the children thing, yeah, I mean, it is strange. It is very strange. Like I said, Vision is figuring stuff out, and I think Wanda's getting scared that her control over him is weakening. So she's trying. Like, notice how when she tried to walk off and do the credits, he completely obliterated that when he snapped at her, when he blew up at her. Like she said, and you heard when she said, "You've never talked to me like that before." Like that caught her off guard because we're so used to Vision being this very laid back, calm person. She's never seen him go off the rails like that. But I think this is like a character arc for him because we've never seen Vision do that. So going forward, Vision is going to be like a completely different character.
Yeah, this is like when we think about like who Vision really is, it doesn't make sense because Vision is a peacekeeping. He's peacekeeping. Yeah. He was a peacekeeping initiative. All right. He even tells you that, like, he doesn't enjoy hurting anyone. And we've even seen him argue his points before, and he's never come from a place of anger. So that's interesting to see Vision, who is always cool, calm, and collective, even when things can be upsetting, show any signs of anger. Even when Wanda was standing right there by Hawkeye and she threw him down several layers of concrete down through the building, right? Different floors of the building.
Man, listen, that scene when I saw that for the first time,
he was calm.
Yeah, he was like, Wanda, don't do this. Don't leave, Wanda.
They'll never be afraid of you. They'll never stop being afraid of you. And Wanda. This is the moment where, what did she say? I cannot control their fear. I can only control my own. And this is her still dealing with her fears, right? Because everything Wanda is doing is out of grief, loss, and fear, right? She just wants basic things. She doesn't want to rule the world. She doesn't want to, go out here. All she wants is Vision, her children in this idealistic world. And now someone has now interjected her brother. So now she's in a place where there's nothing that you could negotiate with her, nothing that you could possibly give her that she doesn't already have. She has everything that she needs, unless you're going to bring her parents back. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, that's not
the last thing you got. That's all you got is that. And I feel they won't do that, but we might at some point possibly see them. If they do a flashback, I don't think they'll do that here because I feel like it would be too much going on. But maybe at some point seeing her parents, or who she thinks, maybe it is her mother, but not necessarily her father. Because I know a lot of people think that Magneto is going to be race bandit. Maybe he will be, and and even if he is, he still maybe could be Wanda's father. I mean, you would have to make sense of it. It'd have to make good sense, right? But I feel like now where they can introduce mutants, I feel like we know from Age of Ultron that they're the only two that survive the trials, right? And I believe it's because they already had that. They're going to use it as they had the mutant gene and the Mind Stone unlocked it, right? And now Taurean's gone. I'm probably talking too much, right? I'm probably talking too much. So that's what I'm thinking there, right? Yeah. So Magneto makes more sense now to be Wanda's father and Pedro's father. But maybe they won't do that. But we haven't seen that. We've seen it hinted on screen in Days of Future Past, but we never seen Magneto be aware that these are his children. So I feel like Feige has a good path forward to do something here with Wanda. And, even if Quicksilver comes back in some way, shape or form, through the multiverse, and he's here in the main timeline, we'll see. Hopefully he's coming back. Because, I was about to wrap it up. You guys, I just can't stop talking about this. And Sunday, I'm going to talk about it even more, but that'll be all Nikki and I mainly talking about the commercial and other things in depth more. But I'm going to wait a few minutes. Anybody have anything they want to add? Don't watch. X-Men Apocalypse. Oh, gosh. That is some... yeah. I mean, it would be cool to see Michael Fassbender be Magneto. that I can get around to that. And what I really he's not bad. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm feeling like maybe if Mephisto is really Evan Peters, but somehow he shapeshifts into someone else, it could be quite epic in size. Maybe that something, or I feel like if it's just even Doctor Strange, that's not nowhere near the same. Like, we can't say that Benedict Cumberbatch, although he's great at Doctor Strange, is equal or on par with Luke Skywalker showing up in The Mandalorian, guys. That's not the same. And if it's that simple, it's going to be a little, then I'll be like, okay, I know you're hyping your show up. Well, right now we're on episode 5. We've got 4 episodes left, Dante. And so that's going to be great. We got 4 episodes left. And then when we get through those 4 episodes, we're going to have a good discussion about the whole season as a whole. I don't know. I guess I should have been giving you my grades. I'll go back. I'll just wait. If I'm going to grade last week's episode to this week's episode, for me, last week, B+. This one, I'll say, wait, last week is a B. This week is a B+. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. But that's where I think it's going to be. But he also said that he felt that, and they say these things a lot of times too. They say that they're done and then they're not done, or they say they're not cast and they are cast, right? Like we heard, the woman that plays She-Hulk, she denied it. And we've heard people deny things before that they've been cast. But Patrick Stewart did say, and I'm just going to throw it out there, and it could be a denial, but just the way it sounded to me, it really sounded like he was being serious, but you never know. He said that he had a conversation with Kevin Feige, and that if he felt like he had not done Logan, and that he felt like that was an end for his character, that his character had done all that he could, and that the emotion from what happened with his character in Logan, if that did not have happened, he would come back. But he is not, but he said that he feels like that the story had ended for him is Professor X, right? He said that. But like I said, that could be him just saying that, to hide it a little bit. But if it's Patrick Stewart, that's great. But I'm just going off what he did say, that he was done because of what happened in Logan. Like I said, that could just be him throwing us off. Yep, that's fine, Terry Hunt. You are fine. I'm going to wrap it up then. Does anybody have any final thoughts? Because you got a whole, we went, this is like a whole other hour, guys. Wow. You hadn't seen me in a minute, and I just give you 2 hours and 20 minutes. Y'all like me? Am I cool? Are we good? Everything good? Huh? Are we good? Are we good? We're good? Well, you know what happens tonight? The greatest channel on YouTube. Most of you know. But in case someone's watching this back and you don't know about Jody's Corner Live will be tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right, guys? And it'll be lit. It'll be real. It'll be tight. And you need to watch Jody's Corner. If you're not, you need to subscribe. And hey, if even better, become a member of Jody's Corner, right? So like I said, I'm your girl, Ashley, aka The Widow. And we're about to be up out of here. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you. And I'll see you soon. Very, very soon. Bye. We'll get my banner off. Because if I don't, then it'll be my thing. Let's get this stuff off the screen. You know that, guys? I'm just going to talk to you while I get this stuff on the screen. I didn't do it right. Y'all have fun. Watch me get the stuff off the screen right there. Here we go. Bye, 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 bye.